Well, hello everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Lessons and Legacies. This is episode 26. The time is flying. I feel like it was just yesterday I was on the sixth episode. But yes, coming at you guys live on Facebook and YouTube, and also now on Spotify Monday through Friday at 2 o'clock, reminding you that there is always a blessing in every lesson. Your lessons that you learn become your legacies that you leave behind, and therefore your stories are so important. And as often as it allows, I love to showcase special guests on the show and allow them to share their stories and experiences, and also bring some faces to the whole game here. So without further ado, I would love to introduce my very special guest of the day. It is a new face and a new voice to Lessons and Legacy. And today we're going to be dancing around love. So go ahead and introduce yourself however you would like to, and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hi, all. I'm Jennifer. I am Mel's neighbor.
Yes.
I live right across the street. She's a wonderful neighbor, and her daughters are fantastic. I have a little girl, and I hope that they grow up to be just like them. And Mia is the name of my daughter. She loves Charlotte and Sophie.
Aw.
She always talks like we pull up to the driveway, Charlotte and Sophie outside.
Aw.
Always looking for them. I am a speech language pathologist. I work in a private clinic in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I've been doing speech pathology for 8 years now. Oh my
Mm.
gosh, 8 years. And before that, I was a special education teacher. And I've kind of let go of my hours at the clinic. I used to be there for 40 hours, and now I'm at 20 hours a week now, so part-time. And I'm trying to start up my own business where I see kids in their homes for tutoring or for speech or what have you in the Charlotte area.
So you would travel to their house?
Well, currently that's what I'm doing. I have two kiddos that are on my caseload that I go to their
That's
house and
cool.
I provide some speech therapy for them.
Now, how has the pandemic affected what you're doing with the kids and stuff?
So the way that I advertised my services was, it was a long process. Because I made these like cute little postcards. Do I have any with me? I have some in my room. I have these cute
You'll
little
have to show
postcards, and
me.
yeah, I could go ahead and show you. It just has like my picture on it and be like, does your child have difficulty with behaviors? Do you wish your child um, could socialize better in social situations? Are they a picky eater? And trying to, captivate my audience. And my not my email, but my phone number was on the card, and I was stimulated to do all of this during the pandemic. So I said teletherapy sessions are also available. So I think because of the pandemic, a lot of people didn't feel like contacting me
Right.
because it's this stranger in my home and what have you. But I do have two kids. The parents are well aware that I have another job, that I have a daughter, and I've been seeing these two kids since August. So I'm very careful. Like when I'm out in public, I wear a mask. I'm very particular to keep my social distancing, but at the
So
same time,
I think it's awesome. I think that's awesome that you do that. I have been a homeschool mom since mine have been born. And also recently this year, right when the pandemic started happening, we did try to like send them to school, like the online virtual school and whatnot. And I just got to say, there is a lot involved in being a teacher. And so I just totally, and especially for what you do too. I know there's a lot of extra and special skills that go along with what you do, and a lot of special qualities you need, like that patience and that grace and your tone and all that stuff. I admire what you do as a profession, and
well,
I have much respect for it.
oh, thank you. You talk about patience and you talk about your tone. I didn't really learn that until I was a speech pathologist. When I was a teacher, I remember being very overwhelmed, very depressed. Like I knew the special education population is what I wanted to work with, that I felt like was my calling. But I was in such a state of like, what am I doing with my life? Because they were such severe kids, young age. And there was at first, when at my very first job, I was 23 years old. I had a classroom of, started out as 6 kids. By June, it was like 14 kids of
Oh my
severe
gosh.
special needs kids. And I just didn't feel like I was changing the world. And, young girl out of college, I want to change the world. I want to do better. And I just went into a significant depression of just like, what am I doing?
Right.
And I stuck with it. I tried to continue to do it. I tried to change schools and I just wasn't happy. But I know that what I'm doing now, like I love what I'm doing. It's the one-on-one, like going back to school for my master's in speech pathology and then having the opportunity to have the experience to work with kids one-on-one. You can also develop a sensitive culture within the family because it's this one child. I have to see the parents at the end of every session, at the beginning of every session. So I
Right.
felt like I was making a lot more progress with that environment of teaching, if you will.
We have some friends joining us. We've got Precious Pauling in the house. Precious Pauling has the I Choose Me Bling Boutique she made the Kids Are Dope shirt for little baby Mia. And
Yes.
she's the
Hi,
writer of the
Precious.
How Special Are You? One of a Kind book that little baby Mia also has. So
Yes,
she's
I have
joining
both
in.
those things.
She's tagging everybody like crazy. Miss Vivian Reed's in the house. And hello, beautiful ladies. Thank you so much
Hi.
for joining us. I hope you guys are having a good day. It is probably like 50 degrees and sunny here in Charlotte, North Carolina, which has been a blessing because to me, it's been in my world a little too cold and gray for my preference level. But today I have been outside just standing in the sun as often and frequently as I can, just trying to soak it up. So I hope it's beautiful where everybody else is. I know Precious is local, but I had a question for you too. Oh, so back to doing the speech pathology and whatnot, like what kind of kids do you work with? Like what are their, like, do you work with like autistic kids or kids with like attention disorders or like what kind?
Exactly what you said. There's literally a spectrum. So in addition to children with autism and in addition to children with learning disabilities, I've also worked with kids who have feeding difficulties. One of like speech can be broken up into so many different categories. There's the social
Right.
component. So like children with autism, they don't make eye contact. They don't know how to start conversation. They perseverate on certain topics. So you want to make sure that you teach them how to promote turn taking in conversation. So there's that component, the social component. And then there's the receptive language component. A lot of children with attention deficit disorder have a difficult time following directions, auditory processing disorders, like speech is warranted for that. So following multi-step directions in a classroom, expressive language, like how to use vocabulary, that's another speech pathologist's job. And then articulation, the way that you sound. Sometimes kids can't pronounce their L sound or their R sound. I can work with that as well.
So you do all of those things?
Yes, I have
All of that?
Now what I don't like, so what I am trained to do and what I have my certification to do, I could also do voice. I don't like, so sometimes like transgenders, if they are transitioning from male to female or female to male, there are professionals that can work with that
Wow.
population.
I
There's
had no idea. That's awesome.
and like some speech pathologists find their niche because it's such a variety. Some speech pathologists find their niche, and feeding is not my niche. I could do it. I could probably do it I would do like 6 to 8 weeks and then say, if we're not making progress, I would research of what other behavior eating therapists or feeding therapists may be in the area. Sometimes some kids, like especially with Down syndrome, they will have weak oral motor musculature. So I can provide them with home exercise programs, which is homework for the parents to practice at least 5 times a week, where they work on lip strength, tongue strength, teeth strength, all this stuff that you need in order to articulate your words correctly. So
I never would have thought of all that. Honestly, I wouldn't think that all of that went into it. That's pretty amazing. And I will say, I'll ask you another question here. So my niece was recently, like in this last year, was diagnosed with Asperger's. And she has a really hard time like learning. She has to learn things slower. She's got to process everything slower. But one thing that came up through taking her to therapy and whatnot is the tone. Like the mom had to start going through therapy and stuff too, to like when niece is messing up and doing things wrong, instead of like we do as parents, like, oh, stop, put that down. I said no. Like the tone would send her off into like these emotional fits and stuff, and it would really slow down her progress. And it was up until, and this has been an issue for the longest time with her. And then once they diagnosed her with the Asperger's, they said, when you respond to her, your tone, you have to talk very even keel, nice and soft, slow, explain. And then she won't go into these like negative, damaging, fitful fits, you know? And it helped. It helped a lot when they started changing the way that they communicated with her via tone. So I guess I would say, would you say as a speech pathologist that tone is kind of an it's a what is the word I'm looking for? It's a really important thing to implement when parenting, whether your children have special needs or not. Because I've also found that, you know, my kids, as of right now, they don't have any learning disabilities that we're aware of. But even when it comes to disciplining them, I noticed that me yelling and going and all aggravated and whatever, it really doesn't get the job done. But I do find that if I keep a calmer tone and make that eye contact and really just, okay, this is why we're not going to do it, X, Y, Z, they process it and then they respond accordingly. You know what I mean? So I feel like
100%.
tone is probably a really important tool to keep with your kids no matter what, as a
Yes,
teacher or a parent or whatever, special needs aside. Yeah.
correct. You
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. I mean, even with a 2-year-old, Mia is going through the terrific twos. And she'll
Yeah.
have meltdowns. And I also work heavily with a heavy populated field of occupational therapists. And so,
Mhm.
what occupational therapy does, it used to be primarily for fine motor, the tiny muscle movements that the therapist would work on, zipping, tying your shoelace, buttoning your jacket.
Right.
It has migrated into, in addition to that, they have had training on sensory issues and um, what is going to help the child succeed in their environment. So, do you decrease your tone of voice? Do they need a swing before they have to sit down and do work? Do they need to be outside and run around? That's what the occupational therapist does. And that's something that they would also address. But, like you said, your tone of voice, and to kind of backtrack with Mia going through her stages of tantrums, sometimes if I just take a moment, I breathe and kind of read the situation. Does she need a hug? Does she need
Right.
us to like find a different place to sit down? Like, do we need to go in her room? Do we need to go to the living room? Do we need to go to mommy's bed? Do we need to relax before we have a conversation and figure out what's going on? It's very important. There's a quote. Oh, I wish I brought it with me. It's about when a child is having a fit or a meltdown. It is so important for that parent, that caregiver. It is so important for there not to be two children in a highly energized situation. You need to be their anchor and they need to have their fit, and you need to find some sort of peace within yourself. And it's very
Right.
difficult to do.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh
to
yeah.
be that anchor and to be that
Yes.
calm and to be, well, to be their calm in the storm. And it's also for children with autism. It's for children that are, it's for teenagers. It's for everybody. It's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
I'm
Vi-
I'm being tested by
Vivian
it for
says over
sure.
here, the labels make her sick sometimes, and I'm guessing she's meaning towards like all of the different like learning disabilities and kids with special needs and all that stuff. Like I think a lot of what you do, the tools that you provide are beneficial to all people, all kids. You know, even talking about like I would have never thought that like for transgender kids, you know, adolescents or whatever that are transitioning or whatever, needing a voice coach for that, I would never be on my radar. You know, that I'm like, that's a really beautiful gift and skill that you're gifting the world and these kids by doing that. How old is the gamut of kids that you work with usually?
I work right now on my caseload. I have kids that are ages preschool to the oldest kid I have is 13. I
Oh,
used to
wow.
serve a child, or I guess an adult with Down syndrome who was 21 years old, but then his insurance no longer covered pediatric care. And I also I still have a 20-year-old on my caseload. that I see on the weekly that we're working on auditory processing, following directions, articulation. He makes very, like, for the clinic that you, for clinics when speech pathologists work in outpatient clinics or working one-on-one with kids and they're taking insurance, you always want to prove that they're making progress. So like that is the
Right,
key. Like,
right.
are we making progress? Like, we have these goals that are written out based on how you performed on your assessment. Are we making progress? So this man, he's 20 years old. He'll be 21 next fall in September. He's slowly making progress with his speech, and he's wonderful.
Aw, that's
So,
got
but
to be so fulfilling for you.
it is. The majority of the kids I work with, though, the majority of them are elementary school aged.
Okay. Precious says she agrees and says that tone is everything and it matters. It builds up or crushes one's confidence. Amen to that. I know. I mean, even as an adult, when my husband comes home with a tone, you know what I mean? That's enough to build you up or break you down. The tone is everything.
Yes.
Tone is the difference, she says. Precious says, the tone is the difference between a holla and a roar. It's true.
That's for sure. That
And
is
Vivian
true.
says, she said, no, the kids that we have, they need some discipline, called a butt whooping. a can of kick ass, she says, or kick blank. I'm going to say it. Viv. Yes, that's true. I know a lot of the kids do need butt whooping. I used to get mine whooped all the time, and my kids have gotten their little spankings, but they had diapers pretty much most of the time. It was like, don't stick the fork in the electrical outlet, you know. I think that they've gotten a swat on the butt a couple times for mouthing off too far, you know. But other than that, it stopped there. I try to do everything, you know, explain, and I don't know. For me to get to that point to have to do that, it's like I've already gone too far off the spectrum, and I try to not even get to that point anymore. I try to be like preventative, I guess. Let's not get to that 6th floor of the hotel. You know what I mean?
Right. But every child has their own personality. Like Mia,
Right.
I haven't had the, Brian and I both believe, we don't hit.
Mm-hmm.
However, Mia's personality warrants that, in the sense that if you raise your voice, if it's a different tone, because she's her own personality, she's her own child. If she goes and runs in the middle of the street and we grab her hand and say no, she will start crying.
Right.
She had a difficult time in daycare. Her first daycare that we went to, that I was very uncomfortable with, she was biting, and she kept biting. I was like, this isn't that. She's trying to verbalize something. She's trying to communicate that she's not happy. Something's going on, and I'm not comfortable with this situation. Well, one weekend she bit Brian, and he screamed, said, "No, we don't bite." And she cried, and she didn't try it again.
Oh, well, Sophie and Charlotte were mixed. Like, Charlotte was the one growing up that Vivian, she make me die.
Do you think I've
been abusive?
No, that's why I said it depends on the kid and their personality. Like, it
just depends on
each his own.
kid.
I was hit growing up, like, not just, like, for those pops, and I'm trying. Who knows? Ask me in 2 years if I pop Mia. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I'm waiting for the
I know.
opportunity.
Yes. Yeah. Sophie was one that she was never affected by yelling or screaming or anything like that. She laughs at me.
No.
We turn redder than my shirt right now. And so she's one that has gotten popped way more than Charlotte. Charlotte was one we discovered at a very young age with her. I think she's only had maybe one handful of spankings ever, and as a baby, but she very sensitive to tone, does not like it's like counterproductive almost. It shuts her down. Any kind of physical contact or yelling or screaming, just she was one from, I'd say, 2 years old all the way up, except now she's getting into the hormonal phase and mood swings. So that's going out the window again. But through the rest of the time, she was one that if I responded to with that calm tone, stern voice, but calm, and explained why, she would learn from it and wouldn't do it again. But now all this, the hormones and the moodiness and all that stuff, she's blossoming into a little diva these days. So now, she's not as affected by the yelling and screaming, but she's too big. I don't touch, like, she's too big to spank and stuff anymore, but yeah, totally two different side approaches to these kids. And so that makes parenting very fun and interesting, because what works for one ain't always going to work for the other. And then as they grow up, there's that whole double standard thing, like, how come she got this and only got punished this way, and I get spanked and I get this? And it's like, she listens this way and you don't listen that way. So we have to, hit both sides of the coin. Parenting is a tricky street when it comes to discipline and effective disciplining. And again, I think a lot of it does boil down to the tone and the response. Some kids need to hear it loud, and that's enough. Some kids, it's traumatic for them and sends them in a tailspin of a downward spiral,
Yeah.
Vivian says, some kids do not pay attention to tone forever. Eventually, it doesn't matter what tone you use. I think, well, I don't know. Because like I said, as an adult myself, I mean, I've done these shows where I've gone on other people's shows, and I can tell in the first minute that I'm talking to the person, like, you had a bad day, didn't you? And I'm like, I take it on my shoulders, like, is it because you don't want to be here talking to me? Is it this? Is it that? I think when my husband comes home and I ask him how his day is, and he's like, he could say just great, or just great, or just great. And I'm like, instantly, I'm keyed into that tone. I think I think we're conditioned and born to pick up on tone since the beginning. I think we learn tone before we learn words as babies, right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean,
a really good observation.
I go back to when the kids were little, and it's like, they don't know what the hell you're saying to them. And you're like, ooh, coochie, coo, 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 or or stinky. Like, they pick up on, she smiles when she makes this higher tone, but she looks upset when her voice is low. I think kids, that's one of the first things we learn is tone. So I feel like, personally, I think that tone always matters to people's hearts, I guess. And how you're, like, again, you can say one sentence in 5 different tones and have it mean something totally different each time you say it, but it's the same 5 words, So I feel like tone and inflection is super important myself.
For sure. Yes.
All right. So I want to get into this book of yours. One of the cool things. All right. The reason neighbor Jen is on the show here. How long have we been neighbors? 3 years?
I've been
2 years.
About almost 4 years. In July.
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Every time everybody asks, how long have you been in this house? I'm always like 3 years, 4 years. I don't know. We're probably at 7 now. I get stuck at a certain time period and forget to progress on.
Yeah.
But so 3-4 years now we've known each other and been neighbors. And I was sharing the new podcast stuff and the shows with her the other day. And we've known each other all this time. She knew I just wrote a book. She's bought my book. And she just informed me that she's been working on a children's book for quite some time now. I'm like, how have we not ever talked about this before? So, yeah, I was really, really excited. You're like, as far as I know, in this neighborhood, the only other author I know. So that's really cool and exciting for me.
You.
And we've got some people who are authors that are watching right now, and illustrators and whatnot, who are entrepreneurs. And I would love for you to talk about the book, what is the book, what's the goal, and then like where you are with things. And if you have any questions, or, we were talking about it the other day. I'm sure it's all going to come out in the conversation, but you're kind of in a standstill with the process for certain things. And so let's see if we can gain some insight and some resources and guidance from our audience friends. And what's the goal? What's your dream out of it?
Let me. You asked me the questions in my short-term memory. I was trying to hang on to every word. So, what was the first question that you asked me? What would you like? You want me to talk about the book?
Yeah. So tell us what's the name of the book? What's it about?
Okay.
What led you want to write a book?
It's just something that I've always dreamed of doing. I've always wanted to write a children's book. I incorporate a lot of book reading into my speech pathology. A lot of the kids that I see, I will. Let's say I take out, what's a book that The Wild Things. Everyone knows like where the wild things are.
Right.
So I will take that book, and maybe I see a kid that I am working on the R sound for my first, like I see a kid at 9 o'clock, we're going to work on his R sound. That's one of his goals. So I'll read that book and all
Hmm.
the words that have R in them, we're going to practice those. Maybe the next kid that I see, we're working on WH questions from 10 to 11 o'clock. I'm seeing that kid and I'm going to take that book out, and I'm reading like a book for the entire week.
Right.
And I just always loved children's literature. You could just do so much with it. It's a way to like help kids go into a whole new world. And with this day and age, with not just social media, but like everything is on
Oh
TV
yeah.
and it's so captivating. I'm still a big believer in books, like
I
just the
am too.
simplicity of
It's
a
the
front
only thing I
cover.
hoard. Is the only thing I hoard in this house is books. And I have been that way since I was a kid, always with my nose in a book. So big, big book fan here.
And
I'm old fashioned
you
like that
have
too.
given me a bunch of books. You've given me a lot of books. So I, growing up, did not like reading. If my mom and dad are going to get so mad when I reveal this, but I remember being in fourth grade and I had a reading log that I had to fill out, a reading log, and I like went to them crying. I said, I promise I'm going to write these books down, but please just sign them off for me. And I promise to read them. For some reason, like I can read, I can comprehend, but I never enjoyed reading ever. I never got into reading, but as I've gotten older in my profession, I've just loved children's books. So this book that I wrote is about a manatee named Monty. The book is called Monty. I don't really have a, pizzazz title. And it's about a
Monty,
manatee.
Monty the manatee works for me.
Well,
See,
it's just Monty, the title right now.
Monty.
But it's about this manatee, and I picked a manatee because are there any books about manatees? Not, I mean, like any children's books about manatees.
Not
I
that I
also
know
wanted to
of.
give, I also wanted to give a life to like a character in the sea that isn't well known. So I wanted to, that's was my intention behind picking a manatee. And it's about a manatee that goes around the big ocean and he gossips about his ocean friends. And after going to one, like, so he makes fun of like Dolly the dolphin, he then makes fun of Seymour the seahorse, and then he makes fun of Tammy the turtle. And then Tyson the turtle says, you know what? Sounds like you're unhappy with yourself. And so Monty takes some time and he reflects, and then he goes and he apologizes after he does some reflection. And then the whole intention behind the book is to teach kids and caregivers like sometimes and I'm sorry, and this is not really like addressed in the book, but my intention behind it is like sometimes I'm sorry isn't good enough. Your words
Right.
are very impressionable, and sometimes you have to make up for that with more words. So like, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that, like,
Right.
can we work on this? And I'm just a big believer in like we need to condition kids to help them understand what an apology is and what kindness is from preschool on.
All the way. Yeah.
Like there
The
are just
whole
so many
way.
bullies in this world and so many
Mhm.
mean people that I understand in order to get things done, you need to like have a goal and you need to be very intentional toward that goal. However, your tone and the way
Yes.
that you approach things, I think is very important in order for people to be successful in the work environment, for people to feel like they are uplifted in the work environment.
Mhm.
There's just so much behind this book that I have like intentions for, but yeah, the main one is like teaching apologies and kindness.
And that's love. That's growing a world from love right there. I love it. So where are you in the grand scheme of it all? Is the book totally written? I know you are working with an illustrator.
The book is totally written and it is completely drawn out. There are 4 watercolor photos that I have, but I am now, even though you have educated me on other things that I can do to get it published, I'm not rushing to get it published because the illustrations are not finished and I realize I could go down other avenues to consider. I right now am at a standstill where like before I contacted you, I was emailing literary agents and I currently still am to see if like it's something that they want to move forward with. And I've gotten at least 12 no's right now. Like they're like, this is
Oh,
not what I'm
wow.
looking for, not what I'm looking for, not what I'm looking for. And I would need, like, in order for me to like move forward with it, to make it more enticing with the illustrations, I would have to go down one of the avenues that you educated me on the other day. But right now I have all of the drawings. It is completely written. I just need it to be fully colored and then published.
And so that's what so you have a special illustrator that's doing this. Yes. He's
His
done
name
several
is,
books.
yes. So he's my favorite illustrator from all of the books that I have read. I've just been captivated by the life that he brings to a page. His name is Charles Fuge, and he has an Instagram page with an email address. I was like, you know what? I finished my children's book. I finished it in December of 2019. And in January of 2020, like, I'm going to email him and see what he says. And he emailed me back right away. And his tone in emails, his ability to shed kindness and patience, and just the process of working with him has been remarkable. He has been such a light. He has just, I can't even accurately articulate just how wonderful it was to correspond via email. I've never talked to this guy over the phone, but he was, the way that he addressed it, he was like, if I like it, I will, I will then bring it to my agent, and then we will see, because he has an agent that he works with.
Mm-hmm.
Now his agent didn't like it. His agent was said, or I shouldn't say that she didn't like it, he or she. Charles told me that it was too long, that the words, the vocabulary I had in there was a little bit too much for the population that I was aiming for, and that I should make the book shorter. So Charles said that he would still draw out the entire book, and that we would together pick 4 illustrations for him to color in, and during that time I can edit it and then send it back to his agent. And so that's what has been done. But with COVID, things have kind of stopped. Like, the agent has taken it, but I don't know. And he's over in Great Britain, so I don't think,
Oh,
I
nice.
mean, I don't, the process for a US publishing company to pick up the book is just going to, it's just kind of at a standstill right now.
Now, if you're okay with it, I want to talk about the monetary side of things here.
Yeah.
Can I? Okay. Just making sure. So as we were discussing last week or whatever about the book, Jen laid it on me how much she is spending on these illustrations, which then a whole nother slew of conversation came after that. And a part of the reason why I want to bring this up is because many of you guys that are watching are going to catch the replay. I know that you might have some suggestions in this area, but tell them, how much is the illustrating costing you?
For me to finish the book, just based on, for Charles to finish the book, the time that he needs to do it, it's going to be about $8,000 to finish the illustrations of the book.
It's how much?
$8,000.
Not 800, guys. $8,000 to finish just the illustrations for this. That's whoa.
It's insane, for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot. So, we started talking back and forth, and it was like, there's different areas and avenues we can go on so that it isn't going to be so expensive. But I loved your response that came out of the end of the conversation. It was just, and this is another reason we're talking about love today, loving what you do, loving what you're putting out there. If it's coming from a place of love, it's all good. But she said that she was so in love with the idea. She's loved working with the illustrator. He's been very diligent. She is in love with the illustrations. She can't see it any other way. So she has it pretty much made up in her mind that she wants to stick with this. Doesn't matter. Like the money, it's like, it's love when money is not really an object, and I think there's that magic in your project because money isn't an object. Although, are you rich?
Oh, no.
No, you don't have that $8,000, do you?
No, I don't.
So it's a matter of, okay, well, I want it done this way from my heart. Money is no object. And yeah, it might take me 5 years to do it. I don't want it to take you 5 years to get this project out because you've already been working on it. And that love in your heart needs to come out while it's doing its thing, So I was thinking, you had thought about doing a GoFundMe page was something we discussed. If
Yeah,
you guys
I was like in the
have any
process of doing it and just
suggestions,
didn't feel right. I don't know.
why?
I mean, I want to also ask the illustrator if that would be appropriate for me to do to try to go ahead and go that avenue. I also want to upload a link of me reading the book
Mhm.
before it is put up there and I don't really know how GoFundMe works. I was about to like hit submit and like declare like, okay, a link will be posted of me reading the book in the upcoming weeks. And then I started reading reviews on GoFundMe and not all of them were very positive. So it just kind of shot down my motivation.
Right. Well, there's the GoFundMe thing, but you can always do Facebook too. We could
Always
do
do what?
a Facebook fundraiser.
So yes, you're right. But Mel, then after Mia goes to bed and the girls go to bed, you need to give me a tutorial. I am never on Facebook and I tried to upload links that you've sent me. I've tried to mute messages. I've tried to you know, mute some people, undo some things and I don't even know how Facebook works. I was on it in college and then for Lent, I gave up Facebook because I was on it too much. And so I hadn't been on until I made another account for a reason and I can't remember what that reason was, but I made it and my habit of not being on there just like carried over. I just have no desire even though it is a great place to connect with people, I just have not been on it diligently and I don't know how to work it.
I get you. I get you. Well, I'm actually pretty savvy with Facebook, so I can put stuff together for you, no problem. I think we should put together a little Facebook page for the book. That
Yeah,
way you
that's
can do videos just like we're doing right now. You can do videos of you reading and showing the pictures and posting all about the journey of the book. And then within that, we can set up the fundraiser. So you can share that and post that within the book's page. And that way, anytime somebody wants to donate and submit and sow a seed, you
you
can put
can
your
do
cash
all of
app.
that.
Yeah, yeah. I can do it for you tonight.
Oh gosh,
And then once
that.
you're ready to get rolling with the book, we make you a little e-commerce store and put your book there, and that's free, and you can sell that with a link. Anybody who's got PayPal or whatever can pre-order.
We're gonna have to work out a contract where you get some sort of commission from this.
Oh, come on. We help each other. We're
Yeah,
neighbors.
but I just have
You
no
know.
idea that just all of the potential, all of the ideas, all of the different routes you can take, it overwhelms me. And then I immediately shut down and I'm like, all right, go distract yourself with something
Well, yeah,
else.
that's the thing. There's so many options, but that was something I kind of overcame in 2020. I was one of those people too, I don't know how to do that. Technology, scary thing for me. But I did take a class by Lisa Santiago last March. I want to say it was maybe February, March, something like that, and learned how to make an e-commerce store. And since then, I've been helping other people with theirs. I've got one, my kids have got one, and I'm like, I just made my own website. Who knew I could do that? And so now I'm like, sure, why not make a podcast? Sure, why not do this? Why not do that? Once you get over that little hump of the fear and you see that, hey, if you ask, people will help you. And sometimes, you just got to be brave and go for it. And then you feel all accomplished afterwards. And then you can help other people so that they can help other people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Vivian says she loves your book. She likes your book a lot after you were describing Monty.
Oh, I was like, I haven't even read it yet.
No, she's saying she likes your book, like the whole idea of,
Oh, thank you,
him running around and
Vivian.
making fun of everybody. And then,
The
you
idea of it.
apologize. My friend Precious always says, and you said that and it's spaced, sometimes the apology takes a little bit more than I'm sorry. I'm sorry is not always good enough. And she's always one that says, do the sorry, be the sorry, do the sorry. Don't just say sorry, do the sorry. Actions speak louder than words sometimes. So
But sometimes even with Mia being 2 years old, she doesn't want to say I'm sorry. I don't want to say I'm sorry. And it's just so important at a young age to cultivate empathy. You did this and it hurt me. And I know that you're mad and I respect that your emotion, you're experiencing the emotion of mad, but I deserve an apology and it will make me feel better. Being their coach through all of this. I have a little one
yeah.
that I want her to understand what I'm sorry means, and like maybe to have a filter before and I'm sorry could even occur. Like, you don't need to go make fun of your friend at school because she's wearing a massive bow the size of her head. Like, figure out some sort of positive from it, because I never put bows in Mia's head. But like, if you don't have to be like, that bow was ugly, you could say, wow, you have a bright bow in your hair, it's really
Right,
nice.
right.
You don't have to say you like it, but like make a
Positive
positive
speak.
out of it. Yes.
Right.
And I
That's
think it's important
hilarious.
for other kids to hear that too. Like, other kids need that kind of
And not just
coaching.
kids. Not just kids. Adults need that
too.
too. This is going to be one of those children's books that are not just for children, right?
That's what I mean. That's kind of, even though all of the literary agents that I've submitted it to have either not emailed back or have told me hardcore no, I'm like, you can benefit from this book. I'm sure you could. See it my way.
Precious says, do the thank you. Do sorry. Yvette's joining in from Massachusetts, giving you love. Yvette's giving love to Vivian and Precious there. Hello, hello. Yeah. Well, I'm really excited. So you guys, if you have any other suggestions for Jen out there and ways that she can acquire the proper funds to help this book project move forward.
Grant,
and
I like the idea
years,
of potentially finding another illustrator, even though I see it this way. If there isn't any movement with it, I could always have a conversation with my illustrator and say, look, nothing's being done. Maybe it's because the illustrations aren't finished. Are you okay with me handing the manuscript to somebody else? I would be saddened. I really do want to raise the money for him to do it. However, I understand that it's very expensive. I might have to consider other avenues, but I don't know.
Well, like I told you too, you can have more than one illustrator, take what you have from him, those 4 colored in ones, and then like you can have somebody else work the other pages in between there for a different price. That way it's still him. It's still him and his work in there. But if you really have it in your heart that you want it done by him in that way, I would say don't give up on what your heart's dream is. And if that's the end goal and that's what you truly want, let's find a way. We don't compromise it. You don't compromise on the dream. Let's find a way to make it happen. So if you guys have any other suggestions besides the GoFundMe, besides the Facebook fundraiser and e-commerce kind of things, please let us know, because we're looking for resources and guidance and whatnot here. Thank you for the tags, Vivian and Yvette. I appreciate you. So do you happen to have any of the illustrations so that they can see what we're talking about?
I do. I have, the drawings are going to be really hard to see.
Well, you can hold it up. See if you can hold it up to the thing.
Well, this is like a printed copy. Do you want the originals or do you want my printed version? Because then I'll have to
whichever.
Go. Okay. Well,
whichever
I have a printed
better.
This is the printed version. This is the cover. This is Monty.
Very cute. He's so cute with his chubby little cheeks.
Right. Those are the main characters of the book. This is the last page of the book. This is the watercolor one.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so beautiful. So is this digital watercolor that he did, or did he actually watercolor paint?
I keep saying watercolor. He may have done colored pens. I'm so uneducated when it comes to like the form of illustration. It looks like the originals that I have on my dresser are like on these massive big pieces of paper, and I went to FedEx and I said, I need all of these scanned in. Or actually, Charles scanned in all the black and whites, and I had the FedEx people at FedEx office scan in it also. It's like one PDF document. So that's how it's on paper and easy for me to.
That's so pretty.
Yeah.
Do you have that one that you showed me the other day?
Yes. So let me get that one.
I love the color. I'm all about like the soft greens and whatnot. I love the colors.
So this is the one that I showed you.
Oh, I love him. He's so fat and delicious.
This is him being the conniving gossiper that he is.
Oh, naughty Monty. He's being naughty.
So naughty.
He's spreading gossip through the sea. Don't do it, Monty.
Don't do it, Monty. Don't spread that gossip. that's that. And then he did one more for me. So he makes fun of this seahorse. The seahorse isn't running as fast as the
Seymour
other
the
seahorses.
seahorse.
Seymour the seahorse. And then so he goes and apologizes to Seymour. And this is the watercolor of Seymour.
Aww. He's so cute. I love the little seahorse too. Oh my goodness. It looks like he's about to give him a kiss.
It looks like he's about to eat him, but like he's like super close.
That is awesome.
You know, he did like, so it's just hard for me to see it a different way.
Yeah, I see. And you already have that. I know you want it to be consistent and whatnot. And personally, I know my first initial reaction when you told me about the book was like, oh my gosh, tell me more. And then when you said, yeah, it's going to be like $8,000 more for me, I'm like, you, what? What? But then like I said, after we talked more, like I normally my first response was, no, we can do this. You could make 10 books for $8,000 and then some, and promotional shit to go with it.
Like, right. Right.
I know that's a lot of money just for an illustrator, like a lot. But I am a big believer in following your heart. And if you have a dream and you have that vision, like, don't let that go. Don't let that go. I know Precious is a big one. She'd tell you the same thing. You hold on to that vision and just find the way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, there's more that I want to do with this book than just like, I don't want it to be my way of making money. Like, if all the proceeds all the profit that I get from this book, I have intentions for it to go not in my pocket and not for me to live. It's to other things and goals that I have written out that I plan to do with it. Like, I'm such a busybody. I need to work. Maybe not full time, but like I love coaching, like fitness coaching, and I love what I do with kids. The profits for this book, like I want to do seminars for kids in schools, and then like I have intentions on giving more to the community with this book. So that's the reason why it's hard for me to.
Have you ever thought about doing a nonprofit?
I don't even know people are like, oh, I do this for nonprofit. And I was like, I know like what that means, but like, what does that mean? Because there are so many people that do nonprofits and then like they take it, or like, I don't know. There's just horror stories that you hear with nonprofit. Like I said, I don't read very much. I'm very bad at reading like what goes on in the world, but like I hear stuff and I'm just like, so nonprofit, I don't even know the avenue to go do that. But I like the idea of a Facebook page of me reading the book, and like if people want to donate for me to finish the illustrations and like move forward with that would be awesome.
I just think like with the nonprofit situation, like you could create a business around it. You're saying you want to do more than you want to do stuff with this book, so you can build a little business, a nonprofit business around it where you like, I don't know. I have to talk to Precious this afternoon, and she does her children's book around with her nonprofit, and she does a lot of speaking and goes to the libraries and does that stuff too. I'm going to pick at her brain, Precious, later this afternoon. We're going to chit chat, and maybe you can give some direction to Jen here on how she might be able to work her upcoming goals with the book and making her impact on the kids in our community coming up here. I did a nonprofit once, and I actually was a kid myself. I was 17. Oh, and it was called Wigs for Kids. I was working for a salon owner as a receptionist, and I went to hair school, and I wanted to do that for a long time. And she sent me to go learn how to make a nonprofit, and we made hers called Wigs for Kids. And it was funny. So I was 16, 17 years old when I did this for her in Michigan, and I'm 36 years now. So it's like 20 years ago. Last year, when I went to Michigan to visit my family, I was driving down the street where her salon used to be, and it was not in that spot anymore, but it was like a half mile down. It used to be like this tiny little house of a salon, like a little house. Honestly, there was like 4 chairs. It was tiny. And now it's this massive building, and it's not her salon anymore. It's Wigs for Kids. And it's the logo that I designed when I was 16 years old. I still have all the paperwork and stuff for it in the attic. I'm like, oh my God, like 20 years later, it's a building, it's my logo, it's everything. Like, so I don't know. I think that's cool. She had that dream. She stuck with it. She followed her heart, and it took her 20 years to get into that big old building and stuff like that. But it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, And then, yeah, the nonprofit setup isn't too hard. And like for you, you're not trying to make money off of it, but for you to be able to go to classes and hand out free copies of your book to the kids in that class, being a nonprofit, you can accept donations and funding from other areas so that you're not the one paying for it. You can still do all your stuff for free. Maybe you're not
Oh, see, like I don't see
to make money to pay yourself, but if
yeah.
you can fund enough to then put your message out there so that other people don't have to be spending the money, that's a way that can help too. So
Okay.
I will I'll pick at my girl's brain this afternoon and see what it would take to get you started on that area. And then we'll chat about it. And maybe that's a possible avenue for you. And you can do tons of fundraisers as a nonprofit too. That can help fund your book. That can help get your illustrations finished as well. So, and I'm great with fundraising. That's one of my favorite things.
You have it all.
Yeah. So, well, we came here today to talk about love. And I think what we did was talk about what we love to do. You have a love for children, for language, for speech, for relationships, and you got a love for this book. And I don't know. I'm so tickled for you to be going through the experience, and I don't want it to take forever. Because I told you the other day, I have another friend, Brian Keith McNeil. He'll tell me, he said it once to me, and I think I shared it with you the other day, like, you got to strike while the iron's hot, because ideas cool off. That passion cools off sometimes. So if I were to be able to tell you right now, without a doubt, for a fact, it was going to take you 4 years, 7 months, and 12 days to get that book done, wouldn't you have a little slump in your shoulder? You'd probably be like, oh, 4.5 years, boy, I got time. And you're not going to be moving along too fast on it, you know? But you've got this passion, you've got the desire, you've got the things in your hand, you've got people here trying to give you resources and direction and able to help kind of, if we can fuel this and make the money happen quicker, I want to see your dream get out there quicker so you can start making changes in these kids' lives, make a difference in this world quicker, because we need it now, you know?
For sure. Yeah, I love that. I love your mindset. It's great.
And Vivian says, congratulations for your book to you, Jen. And you guys are going to have to stay tuned because, yes, this is all brand new stuff we're going to be working on together, I think. And I am looking forward. I think we're going to have Jen back probably sooner than she thinks with some serious updates and progress, and maybe Cash App and a store site and a website that you guys could all potentially go sow a $5, $10, $20 blessing, or post a link or send an email. Try this website. By the way, Vivian said Big Sis Media is fantastic too. So I have to look that up and see. That might be a good avenue for us to check out too, a site for you to check out. So yes, I guess the big takeaway of today's lessons in love is don't compromise what you love to do. You know, I am, you know, very well, filing for bankruptcy, have been trying very hard to find a way to make an income. I could easily go, well, maybe not as easily now since COVID, but I never had a problem in the past going and get a bartending job at night. But it sucks coming home at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and then getting up at 6:30 in the morning, teaching your kids, doing the chores, cooking the meals, doing all this stuff, trying to do what you really love in the interim, and then going back and doing it all over again at night. I had nothing left. So I have been trying like crazy for the past couple of years to find my way with my writing, my art, and these videos, and just I love it. I love it, and I don't want to compromise it and trade it for anything. I was this close, and I did start job searching last week. Like I'm like, let me be like an Amazon data entry person or something, you know, something I can do at home so I don't have to go and work the late hours. But the more I thought about it, and you know, talked about it with my husband and my mom, and it's just push on, keep going. There's something you're not seeing, something else is going to come, but don't give up. If it makes you sad to change the course of what you're doing, then you probably shouldn't be changing the course of what you're doing. You're just not seeing another window, or another opportunity hasn't arrived for you to continue on yet, you know? But I say stay on the course. If you love what you got in your heart and in your mind, stay the course.
Thanks so much, Mel.
Okay. Vivian says, "Oh, I'm tired just hearing all that you do, Melissa Price." Yeah, I usually am tired by the time I'm done brushing my teeth in the morning before I even get to list the number one on the list. But it makes me happy. It's all stuff that I love. And you got big congratulations on your book. So,
Thank you.
well, we are almost at the hour. See, that goes fast. Can you believe
It
it?
does. No,
50,
I can't.
54 minutes in, like that.
Pretty
So,
amazing.
we'll get ready to sign off here. Do you want to leave everybody with any last words before we go? And like I
No.
said, she will be back, and we will have contact information and emails and links next time, because I think you're going to have a fan base.
Oh gosh, thank you. No, just thank you for giving me the opportunity to use Lessons and Legacies as a platform to share my story of my passion of kindness and love, essentially. And yeah, I'm just very appreciative of it, and I'm appreciative of your network of people that you have. And yeah, it's an honor to be a part of this. Thank you.
You and me both. I am very blessed to have so many amazing people in my life, and I fully believe that God is responsible for that, because like I said, I get very distracted in tunnel vision and all this stuff too. And I miss sometimes the best stuff's right in front of me. And so I make sure, well, God makes sure that I don't. And so he comes to me with people. So, and you have been such a special person in my life. And I'm very excited for you and your journey with Monty. And I'm very grateful, and I admire you for what you do,
Oh gosh,
how
thanks,
much
Mel.
you teach, and how much you go out there every day giving of yourself and serving to the children of our community. And yeah, the world needs more people like you, and the world needs this book,
Oh gosh, thank you for
not
your
just the
kind words.
kids, but the adults too. So yes, I thank you so much for coming on, and we wish you the best luck and love towards the endeavor. And we're going to keep working on it together and make this happen sooner rather than
Sounds
later.
good. Thank you, Mel.
So yes, this has been Lessons in Love on Lessons in Legacies with Jen Schultz and Melissa Price. Tune in tomorrow at 2:00. We have another brand new face. We have new people this week, and I'm excited. We have Melissa De Gregorio tomorrow. We're going to be talking about resilience and pulling from your source. Then we have Stephanie Morris, who is the author of 31 Days to the Heart of Your Purpose. That will be on Thursday. And Friday, I have Brittany Thomas coming back for another episode of Laughter. So be sure to clock in at 2:00 live on Facebook, live on YouTube. And if you want to check out any of the other episodes and you really don't have the mind to watch them, I'm officially now on Spotify. So find Lessons and Legacies on Spotify. And again, your stories matter. That's why we're here, sharing our stories, trying to make a difference and let you guys know you're not alone. Everything you go through, your lessons become your legacies. And no matter how sticky your situation is or how impossible things may seem, know that there is always a blessing in every lesson. And it's just up to you to find it. So open your eyes, open your hearts, and remember to tell your story. You guys be blessed, and we will see you at 2:00 tomorrow on Lessons and Legacies.
Thank you.
Peace.